All right, let's go. Oh, new screen. I like it. Must be gilded. Must be gilded. Look at
It's not that much different compared to the Discord one.
that. Anyway,
Let's be honest.
welcome everybody to the new year. Boys, joining us today down the bottom, Memory Leak Death. You guys know him as the Glimish Code Monkey, as he will tell you.
Thank you.
And again, joined with Speed Demon for what should be an amazing year on the show. So, boys, welcome to the new year. Memory Leak, thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you guys for having me on.
And I mean, let's just cut straight to it. You've been working on some pretty amazing things for Glimish in the recent past. Do you care to share with us what's been in the project pile?
Well, I got a couple things, quite a few things that are kind of sitting out there waiting as pull requests, and a couple things that I'm working on this week as well. I think some of the more exciting things, stuff waiting for pull requests. I sort of rejiggered the homepage a little bit to where the categories show up above. There's like a little category thing, and they show up above the videos, and they have the number of live streams per category showing up there. And then kind of moved the homepage videos around so that they all fit above the fold and kind of go across the screen and have a little bit more space to them, and stuff like that. So that is one thing that would at least enable us to see that there's more streams on the site than just the few that you see on the homepage. Hopefully.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was one of the biggest issues that we obviously discussed at some point. Is the discoverability of.
Well, I mean, we
other people.
We saw that through Twitter, didn't we? A lot.
Yeah,
like on our personal feeds.
Because
we saw. Glimish
only
got 4 people. Yeah,
and we sort of came to the conclusion that people would just come into the home screen and they thought that was it. There were only 6 streams live at any given time, and I remember the discussions rolling around for the live view account on the categories, and I thought
I think we had that on the show, didn't we?
Probably on the show. I remember discussing it off show as well, with much debate along that topic. But yeah.
No, that'd be a good, good little tweak, I guess. I guess it's not really a feature, is it? It's more of just like a UI update, isn't it? Really, it's just
yeah. I mean, the only additional code was to just show the number of streams that are live per category, and that was it, really, on that one. So,
it's
something. It's something to kind of let people know that, hey, because a lot of the other streaming sites, they kind of follow the same pattern that Twitch does, where it's like you have the popular categories and all that stuff on the front, and since we're doing it a little bit differently with the randomization and stuff, which I think is a little bit better, it's harder to convey the same information, that there's a lot more going on under the covers. And to that effect, an additional code change I've made out there was to also surface underneath all of those the streams that are live on the homepage, surface the subcategories and tags, a random assortment, up to 20 of them, pulled from the live streams that are live. So you'll see a bunch of them down there. You can click on them and they'll automatically take you to whatever category page there is correct for them, and then it'll filter automatically by that tag or by that subcategory. So so if you see like a game on there, say Fortnite or something, you click on that, you'll only see the Fortnite games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of another way of sort of encouraging people to click past the homepage.
Yeah, it doesn't really enforce that popularity content of it. It works on an entirely different premise. Because, I mean, naturally, like the Twitch-esque sort of platforms, it's all based on view accounts. So the more viewed games appear higher in the list, yada yada yada. So, yeah,
Well,
I
and
like
I
that.
think that's the strength of it too, is that by just kind of randomly picking them out of there, we can say like, look, every time you refresh the page, you're going to get a brand new set, and
Mm.
you know, we're not favoring any. We're not turning into like a Trovo where it's always Call of Duty Mobile as the first thing on the page, or you know what I mean? Like there's more
Oh,
stuff
oh.
going on than just that.
Yeah. It's not
Love it.
Valorant or Fortnite.
But no, I mean, when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, you've already got the randomization there anyway for the streams when you refresh. So why not just grab an extra little bit of detail and just throw it in there and just be like, hey, look, you don't want to go and search for any? Here, click a button and just click one of the tags. And I mean, that just makes perfect sense. I mean, it's not like it's a big step in people's faces. It's just like, oh, I didn't realize I could click on family friendly or whatever the tag might be. So
Yeah, it's
no,
just another
that's really
option to
cool.
find
And I was hoping too that it would encourage more people to actually use tags, because I do see a lot of people who, I mean, are obviously restreaming,
Yeah.
but they haven't even put any tags on their streams and stuff. I'm like, you're not really getting any benefit.
But I mean, that's sort of
People aren't really
the
going to see it,
problem.
are they?
That's the problem with restreaming, though, because you restream to several places. You change your game, right? You've then got to go to every page and change what game you're playing. So by not having
Well, it
any
sort of depends.
tags,
It depends on their options that they're using. Like if they're using, say, the OBS plugin, then yeah, you've got to go to each individual page. But someone like Restream.io, they've got their own little title section that'll change for most, but it doesn't cover all. And most of them, like, they'll forget. They'll change it and it'll be like out the back door, and like they just won't even worry about it. As long as their primary is done, they don't really care.
I mean, like, that's one problem, like people not having tags. The other problem is people using the tags correctly. You'll see the tag that they're playing one game, and you look at the thumbnail for the stream, and you're like, oh no, that clearly isn't whatever it is that you were saying it is.
Yeah.
Well, and we also have, people who will tag themselves as just chatting, but they'll be in gaming,
Yeah.
So because that's where everybody's at, and they're figuring, that's where we'll get more visibility rather than being over in IRL,
Yeah.
So
that's,
I mean,
that's one of those weird ones. Isn't it?
On that though, there's not that many streams where you get lost in the crowd, so there's no need to sort of fight for position, especially when everything's random anyway.
Yeah, I mean, with it being random, there's no need to fight for position anyway. If you use your right categories, again, once that UI change comes through, I mean, that'll obviously show there's 2 in IRL or 3 in tech. It'll push people there, so there might be more encouragement to then go and use those categories for what you're doing.
Yeah,
so like, I mean, that's a really good change. I think would really influence a bit more. One, of the tag system, and two, the right category use. I guess is that window to see exactly how many's live. So hopefully that gets pushed through pretty soon and gets out there, because that would be a good little update. Anyway, moving on. What
else?
Well, what are the other? Let's just keep ticking the list off. Like, not to tie up on one point there, but like I've seen you doing a fair bit of work in the last few months. So
yeah. So I mean, a little thing on the side was tagging new streamers to the platform. So if you're new, if you have under, I'm trying to think, because it was weeks and weeks ago I did this. I think if you have under 10 hours streamed, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, I think it's under 10, under a certain threshold, and I'd have to look it up again. If you're under a certain threshold, or it's your first week of streaming on the platform, you will get a special tag. It'll show up under your stream as new. It'll say the word new. It'll be red. And you can, whenever you go under, there's a new filter under all the different categories that'll say, show me the new people. And it'll only show you the people who have that tag. So it's criteria based on if it's your first week, I think it's like first 7 days or first 5 days or something, or you're under a certain number of hours. So like, I didn't want to punish anybody who's like only streams once a week or something like that. So I have
Yeah.
both criteria in there so that to kind of,
Yeah.
you know, give you a good head start with
Yeah.
that kind
Yeah,
of
right. I
thing.
mean, that's a good feature too. Just to
Yeah.
highlight, new people coming to the platform and trying to get around and see what's going on. That's a pretty cool little feature as well. I mean, that
I mean,
kind of
like,
raises that like that up and coming or kind of category,
yeah, but
doesn't
it's
it?
not
It
as
kind
not
of
as prominent
just
as that
tweaked.
though.
It's not as slap
Yeah.
in the face obvious, but it's still a good
Yeah.
little
I mean, like,
niche to just be like, hey, this is a new person, and then they just fade off into the group, and then
yeah.
the next person comes in, and it just keeps rolling. So that's a good little feature. I like that.
Like, I float around the platform, and I see new names, all the time, and I'm like, well, are you new, or have you been here since day one, and you stream sporadically?
Yeah,
Like
it's
what? Which one is it? So
yeah, it is hard to
I guess
identify
it's
that, isn't it?
a handy little feature to know who is new
Hmm.
and welcome them to the platform.
Right.
I
And
like
under the same umbrella as that, when it comes to like sharing your streams and getting some visibility on your streams, I also have a feature sitting out there waiting for the share button. Having a share button underneath your stream
Oh,
that
Yeah,
lets
man.
you share the stream
yeah,
on Twitter, on Facebook,
yeah.
not Facebook, Reddit.
Yeah, what?
I
What?
would never,
Facebook's for
let
old
you share
people,
something.
man. Come on.
Are you looking in this lobby right now, Steve? Like, hello. um, yeah. So
Twitter,
yeah,
Twitter,
you were saying
Reddit,
Reddit.
or Mastodon.
Yeah, I mean,
Are
it's
the
been one of
features.
those highly requested features since the early days. Just like no
I mean,
one sort of got around to doing
it
it.
is always a good feature to have, isn't it? I mean, if you're sitting there and hanging out with someone, and you want to try and help encourage a bit of growth, if you've got a good social network, you can always share it to that and say, look, I've got 1,000 people on Macedon. I'm going to share it to there because they'll probably come and say hello, hang out, and all that kind of thing. So it's a good connection tool. I think it's not so much a discoverability or a visibility, more of a connecting tool.
I mean, it's
And
more of a. I can
that's
see
really
it
cool.
as a good accessibility sort of option as well.
Mm.
For people who do struggle, typing out a lot of things, that don't necessarily want to be sitting there for like 20 minutes trying to, struggle typing
Yeah,
out a tweet or whatever. I mean, yeah, they could use voice to text, but
and
I mean, still, that's like a
oh,
difficult, like having a 2-click sort of option.
Yeah.
right. Along the same lines too. I do have a spot where you copy the URL, the bare URL to the stream,
Yeah,
and in that I've added the don't follow a host. So that way you can paste that link anywhere, and
yeah,
someone clicks on it, and they're always guaranteed to be on your page, even if you're hosting
yeah,
somebody,
yeah.
rather than getting redirected. So
Now,
that was another part of that.
is it just sort of a generic sort of message, or is there like a message?
Is it customizable?
Yeah, I mean, like, because the way I would envision it is that anyone who is the stream could use that share button, and it would be like, oh, hey, I'm watching, and that would be the message. But if the streamer were to use that button, a different message, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's so first of all, the streamer can set what message they want uh, that shows up as the default message. So like for
Yeah,
Twitter or for Mastodon or for Reddit. But what it does is it doesn't submit it. It sends you to a new tab with that open, and
yeah.
then you can then edit the message however way you want, and then hit send.
Okay,
Yeah, so it
okay,
doesn't like immediately send it. It opens up the page for you to create the post.
okay.
Or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh,
That's cool.
so what
That'd
else
be
do you
good.
got?
Like I said, that's a good little feature just to connect and share
Yeah,
with amongst your own community. So that's a good one.
So what else you
And
got?
I can see the screen
the other one,
flickering. I can see him just changing between different
yeah,
tabs.
I'm looking at. It's been like it's
You've
been
been working.
months. I've
I mean,
got so many
you've been
things in the
working.
queue.
You've been doing a lot of coding for a long period of time. Like I know you and Mythal both been what 6+ months, just continually. Because I mean, for a long time there, you were doing the co-streaming coding for
Yeah,
pretty much every stream was co-stream. So for a long period of time, you were building a lot of that code. So yeah, I'm not
and that's
surprised that
still
you've got all these little
yeah,
things just piling up
that's
in
still
the
hanging out
backseat.
there waiting right now. I kind
Yeah.
of put it aside because I know that there's some fundamental changes being made under the covers. And I wasn't sure what was going to happen if we were going to have like a site redesign or something, because there's been a lot of talk of that, and all that would affect it. And I was kind of like, let me just. And I was also it was kind of driving me a little bit batty. So I kind of like said, you know what, I need to put this aside, and I need some wins right now, because this is
Yeah.
taking way too long.
Yeah, it just
This has
feels like
grown
it's a
to a
never-ending
behemoth.
pit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no,
Um,
that makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
And like you
And I
said, these
also,
small ones that you keep doing feel good for the soul. Like it'll bang, yeah, that's done, bang, that's done. You just keep bouncing.
right.
It feels like you're on a train of success. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. And it also, I mean, it helps, since I switched over to doing a lot of little things, I think it's helped a lot of people come in and see that stuff's happening and ask questions and be a part of the
Mm.
designs too. It's, everybody
It's,
else gets tired of seeing the same thing over and over again too. So it's nice to
I
come in
feel
and
like
see, oh, you're working on something different. I'd like to have some feedback on this.
I feel
yeah,
like
right.
this is the sort of progress that should have been done a little bit earlier on. Instead of trying to tackle the bigger features, that we know are going to draw people into the platform, actually show progress and nail out like 50 of the smaller features that, they're quality of life things. Like,
Yeah,
I feel
I
like
Good, aren't
had
they?
that have come first, it would have, you know, probably felt like things were actually going somewhere.
yeah, I started the small feature Friday and stuff in October, and I do like looking back, I'm like, how did I not think of this back in March? Like it's just one of those things that's so simple, and yet it just never occurred to me to like, why don't I just do a lot of small things and then
Yeah.
have some longer running things on the different days? And it just never occurred to me. And I'm like, this is my life, right? This is my life is like, I'm always that late. I'm always late to the party.
But I
Hindsight's
mean, that's the
always
thing, isn't it?
2020.
But I mean, as a coder, like I know on your actual your own streams and stuff, I know you said that sometimes it just gets to a point where it is too hard to keep up with. Like you said with the co-streaming, for example, you're going for what 4 months, pretty much
Yeah,
solid on it, and it just felt like you're getting nowhere. Like I think the last count you said was like 3,700 codes of lines of code,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's still
3,700 lines
not
of code.
close.
Yeah,
It's like you were saying there's still probably another 3,000 ish to
probably,
go.
yeah, probably 2.5 times that left to go, because that's not including any of the automated testing or anything.
Yeah.
So
So when you're saying things like that, like you're so programmed into I want to get this done, I want to get this done that you like you said you forget about these other side things. Then you start just getting to a point where you said on your own stream you're facing that code burnout. You're just like, oh, I just need something to just give me a win. I just need to be able to feel that I'm making progress. And I think it's not so much that you're late to the party. It's just it takes that sort of sudden realization that, oh, I need to change because this just isn't working for me right now.
Yeah.
I keep doing
And I'm
the
sure
same thing,
Mytho's
and the
done it,
same thing keeps
like,
happening.
right? And I'm sure Mytho's done it. Like, yeah, he was doing other features as well, and I'm sure that would have taken its toll on him at some point. But again, having those little side windows to just go and pop out, do something else, come back, pop out, come back. It just it keeps it fresh, I guess, is the main point.
Mm.
Yeah, and and like I said, it actually feels a little bit better because I get more feedback. I
Mm.
have more people dropping in and who are interested in discussing certain, the things that are going on in certain features, whereas a lot of people
Yeah.
were like, "Yeah, co-streaming, I mean, it's cool, but it's not really something I'm going to use." But if I'm in there like redesigning the homepage or something, well, now everybody's ears are perking
Yeah.
up, right?
Yeah,
So
that's right.
yeah, it helps with that too. Yeah.
Also, you aren't going to please everyone. Like, you're going to have people who are going to be like, "Oh, I'm not going to use that feature. That's stupid." Yeah, yeah.
But
You're going to have
they're probably the biggest ones. They're going to say, "No, I'm not going to use it," but they'll be the first to turn it on and try it out. Guarantee you.
Probably.
it's like
Guarantee
Probably.
it.
Yeah.
it's like the people complaining about hot cross buns straight after Christmas. Like, get over it. You're going to buy some anyway.
Yeah, right. You're going to take them home. You're going to heat them up and eat them. Shut up.
Yeah,
But no, I mean that's the thing, and I mean you're facing that within the coding anyway. Is you're going to find some that are going to be hit and some that are going to miss with some people, and then you're going to find some that are just going to be hit with everybody. So it's what do? You just go about your projects and keep pushing them forward. So
Yeah. Yeah. I
um,
mean, and that's not anything new to me either. I mean, that's like regular life is like that too. Sometimes you're writing a feature that the clients really want, and sometimes you're just doing the, you know, dishwashing. It's just it is what it is. You
yeah.
know.
uh,
And speaking of like a feature that may have a wide variety of people who either are going to like it or not. I did complete like a week or so ago having animated gifs, reaction gifs in the
I did
chat
see that. I
via
did see that.
Google Tenor.
Uh,
So
Oh,
it's
through
been one of
tenor. Okay.
my been one of my highly requested features. I will say that that was the one thing that I really enjoyed over in Mixer. It was just sort of that little bit of interactivity that wasn't chat that sort of just gave it an edge. I actually enjoyed it. I know that a lot of my community actually enjoyed it as well. So it'll be nice to see it sort of come back in a way.
It's just that quirky bit of fun, isn't it?
yeah, sometimes you just
Yeah,
need a little spice in the
yeah,
chat.
you
Yeah.
do.
I mean, you got the stickers and stuff, like you got the emotes, and they're cool and all, but sometimes like I remember going into as you were saying, Speed, and God bless Mixer, but I used to go into a channel over there, and like it was every time I went in, something would crash, so I kept playing the little plane that kept crashing. It was just always that little gimmick. It was just like, hey, you just poke and like before you'd say anything or say hi, you just play that you play that gif, and they're like, oh no, here we go. So it's
But,
always
but I
like
mean,
just that little bit of connection with the streamer, and I think that's what builds up.
it's one of those things that was quick, easy, and delivered more of a point than saying something in chat, like an emote sticker would actually give.
Yeah.
Have a little bit more emphasis with a comedic tone behind it.
Yeah,
It's
it was a
always
little
good.
more fun. So I mean, everyone loves the
Yeah.
GIFs, don't they? I mean, you play them on Twitter, you play them on you know on Facebooks and Reddits and stuff like that. You play them everywhere. So I mean, it's just a bit of fun. I think that's pretty cool.
And it gives you access to all the meme gifs and stuff too that
Yeah.
people
Oh,
have
yeah.
wanted. People have wanted integration with what is that people use on
Iffy.
Twitch all the time? No,
Uh,
not Giphy. There's another emote place that they use a lot, and I can't think of the name of it now. But people have wanted that, where it has like the all the memes and the elbow fire and
Oh yeah.
the
all
head
right.
bobbing cat and all that stuff. Um, and you have access to those now through Tenor.
Oh,
Cool.
nice.
Yeah,
That'll be a lot of fun.
so
Hopefully that
yeah,
does get again. Hopefully that gets pushed through pretty quick and it gets people out there using it because I think like that'll build that little like community based, because you'll find certain things that you'll do for a stream when you go in there and you'll drop a gif and they'll be like lame, or you'll drop one and they'll just start laughing. So you kind of build that connection. I think it's just you know it's just that little window of opportunity, I guess.
Yeah, and I think like it's one of those quirky little features that could just be enough to get people interested in chatting again. You know, just but that's all it could be. It could be just a heap of little quirky features. They're
I
like,
mean, yeah,
this
exactly.
is enough to bring someone in. Yeah, instead of bam co-streaming. You know, it's in big top tents and just lights and fireworks everywhere. Like, yeah, I mean that's cool, but it's gifts and chat. Come
Sometimes it's the simple things.
yeah, oh, that's it.
But it is. I mean, because I mean, like people don't want to be that one person in chat, do they? They don't want to be that one who's doing all the talking, or they don't want to be that one person. But if you fire off a GIF, 9 times out of 10, someone's going to respond with a GIF. They're going to come back with another one, and it's going to start this backwards and forwards. And then you're going to be having a chat and whatever else. Like it just sort of depends on the flow of the channel too. Like for SideNote here, for example, like okay, you find that this is generally a lurking channel. It's listening and it's paying attention. But if it was say your personal channel memory, when you're doing coding, you'd probably find somebody sitting there on a keyboard just banging away on the GIF. That's the kind of thing that would flow, and that's the difference between the involvement of chat and the stationary side. I think we're seeing a lot of stationary side at the moment. We're not seeing a lot of that flow in chat at the moment, and I think it's not because we've gotten to a point where it's stale. It's just the fact that people are just sitting there and there's just no one's talking, so they don't want to be that person to start talking. They just want to kind of wait and see what flows.
I mean, like I used to have someone in my chat back on Mixer who would like 90% of the time only use GIFs. Like that was just their form of communication, and that was cool. I was your thing, you do you. But they were able to express so much more about what was going on with whatever I was doing, just in that GIF, than they could, 5 messages or whatever. So, again,
And then you've got lazy streamers like me who don't want to make emotes. So this is a good way to get around that.
or streamers who only have one emote.
This is the guy down here who code monkeys everything but can't be bothered with emotes. I mean, honestly,
drawing. I can't draw. Are you kidding me?
I don't worry. I feel it. My shit's Photoshop.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. But it's just one of those. It's one of those quirky little features. It just changes the dynamic of not only chats but the site as well. Like it's. You get known for certain gifts when you go around, and people are like, they kind of wait for it. Like they kind of wait for Memory Leak to come in and drop that GIF. Like they're kind of like they see it in chat. They don't even read the name. They just know who it is. It's just like straight away. It's a connection, and I think Glimish in itself right now, it needs those connections. It needs to reharness what it started with, which was everything about encumbering people together. I mean, I think that's what it really is pushing for, and I think that's what it's got to get back to its roots, its soul, and start bringing that back in. So,
yeah,
that's a good little feature to do it. But I'm sure you got more features than that. I know you've got a ton of features to get through.
I have 2 more that I think both will be something that the community will be very interested in. But neither of these are complete yet. I'm still working on them, but I have been tweeting out things. Autocomplete on when you're trying to reply to somebody. So when you type at and you start to type a name, I can now give you suggestions on what names to finish out that autocomplete with.
Yes.
That statement alone is almost better than ice cream. I'm sorry. that to me, and look, to be fair, like we've spoken about this on the show before, I think that was something that was overlooked at the launch. I think that was something that was really needed at the start. I think that was just, and I know I said this to you, Memory Leak, the other day on the stream, and like you said, it's kind of like, what do you need to get started? Like what's the baseline, and then you're always looking. Oh, we could have added that. We could have added this. I think the autocomplete, I think, just goes hand in hand with building the baseline. I think that just missed that opportunity. I think that's a good feature to have.
Well, there was the focus on major features. I mean, that's
Yeah.
basically what the roadmaps were when they existed, was major features, and it wasn't quality of life features.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
you know,
definitely. I think this is definitely a quality of life thing that
yeah,
you kind of look at and you're like, I was looking at it on stream and I'm like, I don't know how, like, we have a quality of life feature where you can repeat the last message, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
couldn't fathom how we missed the autocomplete part of it, because it seemed
Yeah.
like I would have never thought, oh, let's have the up arrow allow you to repeat the last message, kind of thing. But
Yeah.
it's just, I guess it's just the thought process.
I'm pretty
as
sure
you go.
that up arrow thing, I'm pretty sure that was a mixer thing as well. Like it was a, because I remember that's how we used to spam, like on raids and stuff. We used to up arrow enter and just like
Yeah.
wear out those two buttons on the keyboard like ferociously, like mad skill. But yeah, I think it was just like it's a general type consensus, that one. I think it's like up arrow is always just like auto repeat the last sent message or whatever. So I don't know whether that was just a like a copy and paste type scenario, whether it was actually spoken about or someone actually sat down and said, "Hey, that's what we need to bring over," or what. But I definitely think that um, was definitely like a bit of an oversight. But then that throws another question: is how is that going to affect the third party bots? Because to do, like, say, a shout out with Pixel, you go exclamation SO, but you don't put the at symbol because it doesn't auto complete. So I wonder how that's going to work with the third party agents.
Well, and there's two parts of it left that I want to do before I actually put this out as a pull request. One of them is I want it to work. Right now, it works with the mouse. You have to click on it. I want it to be able to work where you don't have to take your hands off the keyboard. So up arrow and enter. So I have to kind of override those so that they don't do what they do now. They select the thing that you want to select from the list.
Right.
But then also I wanted to add an API endpoint for the bots to be able to do some form of autocomplete if they want to. It would have to be
Right.
a separate call from them to do it, but I don't think that's any different than it would have to be any other way.
Yeah.
So I that was another thing on my list, was to provide some sort of additional chat endpoint that they can
Right.
connect to and get an autocomplete off of. So
Okay. So
so hopefully
it
that'll be
wouldn't
something.
really affect them in any way, really.
Yeah, it wouldn't affect them out of the gate. It would be something that they would have to call separately if they want to integrate
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Hmm.
Yeah.
And you're saying there's another part to that as well.
Oh, there's another feature that I'm working on that I'm about, I'd say 70% done. And I think the community will be happy to hear this. A little thing called raiding, being able to raid other channels. Um,
Yep.
I have it in a state now where basically I've integrated the rating with the searching the site. So if you're live and you go on the site and you go under a category, there'll be a new filter option there. It says, "Can I raid?" You can click on that and it will filter out all the people who are live down to the ones who have rating allowed, that you're allowed to raid. You click on them, and when you land on their stream page, you will then have a raid button at the top of the page next to the support button. And the idea of putting it there was to make sure you actually like listen to the stream and look at their chat and everything before you raid
Yeah.
somebody. You're not just like
Actually go there first
blindly
before
doing it.
just
Yeah.
And what it will do is if you decide, okay, I want to raid this person, you click on the button, it'll warn you that it's going to take you offline. It's going to take your channel offline. And then 30 seconds later, it will do that. But what it'll do in the meantime is it will alert all of your viewers that a raid is about to happen and who you're raiding, and it will give them the option to say no if they don't want to participate in a raid. Otherwise, by default, after 30 seconds, they'll all get pulled along in the raid, and the person getting raided will get a raid message. It's a configurable raid message. So one of the things that I think came out of all the raiding stuff was that, and I'm kind of in this camp too, I don't necessarily like the word rating, but I had to call it something. So I called it rating in all the settings pages. But
Yeah.
since you can configure the message that gets sent in your chat, you can call it anything you want.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I think
And you can format that message any way you want.
Yeah, go on, Speed.
I think that's why rating sort of died at some point, because it was on, I think it was on Roadmap Part 3 or Phase 3 or whatever it was, which doesn't exist anymore. But yeah, there was that heavy discussion because there's complaints about rating with Twitch, because we don't want to associate rating with that. Do we call it rating? Do we call it something else? And it just sort of all came to a stalemate. Like, it doesn't matter.
I mean, the simple fact is, I mean, whether you like it or you don't like it, I mean, it's rating. There's no question about it. There's things in streaming windows that just are what they are. I mean, you can't change an emote and call it something else. It's still an emote. It's still a sticker. It doesn't matter. It's still there. You can't change a GIF and call it an animated emote. Like, it's not. It's a GIF. That's what they are. Like, understanding that you can modify it, you can change it to your own preference. So if if Speed's going to come and raid Memory Leak's channel, Memory Leak's got a thing in there that says, oh, we're getting glim partied, or we're getting invaded, or you can just have your own little dynamic to it that flashes up, and I think that's the biggest aspect, especially for Glimish right now. That's the biggest aspect that you need to take away is, yes, it's rating and settings, but it's only as a setting. You can modify it to suit whatever you want it to say. And I did see you playing with that the other day, Memory League. It was actually kind of cool because you even had chat saying, please defend and things like that. So it was it was kind of cool in that aspect. It was kind of quirky and funny. And I think
I
we're going to
borrowed
see a lot.
I borrowed a concept from one of the Star Citizen streamers that I watch, where whenever he gets raided, he plays the Star Trek Red Alert klaxon. He says, "Defend us! We have invaders."
And I mean, look, that's one of those weird, quirky situations you could get into a third-party bot like AKA Pixel or even Glimboy for that matter. You could really get in there and really get deep involved in creating like an overlay that just pops up, and there's a fight scene or a war scene or just something going on, or and you can really customize it to your own channel. So in that essence, I really like it, and I think we were talking just before the show, Memory League, about the basis of rating and how the negativity around rating has come more so from from outside sources accessing APIs rather than streamers actually physically going in and doing that kind of stuff, like encouraging their community to go in and do that. Like, it's coming from an external source. So in saying that, obviously API, there's ways you can code or get around having those external influences come in without, say, previous 10 hours or an account or something like that. If they don't have some sort of registration, sure, there's a way to play with the API a little bit to block that, isn't there?
Yeah. There's a way to know that someone is coming in via the API, and I could put additional protections around that. The first iteration of rating, I'm not going to have any API endpoint for right now, because I really want to just get it out there and let people kick the tires and come up with what they like, what they don't like, those kinds of things. But when it comes to like the event itself, the raid event itself is an actual event in the chat, so the bots will be able to hopefully pick that up, and I'll do enough to make sure that comes through the API. But I won't put like starting a raid in the API. It'll be more like you can detect that a raid is happening, kind of
Right.
thing. At
Yeah.
least for the first iteration. Um, and then after that, we can have, as a community, have conversations about what direction we want to take that in. Because
Yeah.
as I've mentioned on stream, and as we were talking earlier, um,
Mm.
this is one of the few features that I myself will not be using. I've never subscribed to the notion of raids. I think they're too disruptive, um, personally.
Yeah.
So I've had them off on Twitch since their inception. Um, but uh, because of that, I don't really have any strong feelings one way or the other how raids should look or how they should function. So I'm
Yeah.
open to pretty much any
Yeah.
feedback that we can get on what that should look like and what that should take on. Um,
And I mean, rating. I mean, again, like Glimish, isn't for everybody. I mean, and that's fair enough. Like you said, you do a lot of coding, so you don't want a party of 25 people coming in and just blowing it up because it's going to deter from what you're doing. And like us here with SideNote, we probably wouldn't have rating turned on either
No.
because that would be very disruptive to what we're trying to do. But someone like Speed on his channel, again, that might be a feature that depends on how he manages it and the way he sets it up for his own channel might actually be a really good um like a function, I guess, in some ways. Like it might just pick his energy up as a streamer, or it might just do something. So it depends on the individual. And I mean, like you said, it's not going to be for everybody.
Yeah.
um
I think it's
but
more
but
how
one
the
thing
streamer
I
streams will determine whether
exactly, it depends
raids
on their
are
energy, what
invasive
they
or
want
not.
to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the fact that you kind of not making people. I guess that's probably the wrong word, but I like the fact that you're directing people to go to the channel to watch first. I know through previous raids, like I always used to get my mods. I'd give them a command. Like I'd just, I'd say something through the, through my channel or through the stream, and my mods would instantly pick up and be like, okay, so he's got about 10, 15 minutes, we'll go and find someone. And then what they do is they'd go and look at that, they'd go around the platform and be like, they'd be checking it out. So I think that also builds that kind of like, you want to go in there, you want to check them out to make sure that they are on what you kind of stand for as a streamer and what you kind of expect from what you do. So I think by pushing that, like, hey, go and check this out first, is a good thing. The only thing I've got to ask though is you're saying something about when it auto cycles over, it disconnects you. But does that only disconnect you from Glimish, or does that actually like stop stream through OBS as well, or
it
like you
should
can't?
only disconnect you from Glimish, and that's the one part I don't really have an easy way of testing.
Okay.
We have in Glimish, we have a stop stream function.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
been there forever, so I assume it works. So I've
Yeah.
been just
I'm
kind
pretty
of
sure it
calling
has
that with the
been used.
assumption that that
Yeah.
will work.
Yeah.
I know that it at least sets your status to not live, and it sets the end date on your stream. As far as I know, it should keep your, like, if you're restreaming and stuff, it'll probably keep your stream going on like YouTube and Twitch and all that stuff. But I
Right.
don't know how it'll show up in restream. I don't know if it'll show up as like an error or what'll
Okay.
happen. So
I
it's
mean,
one of
because
those
it's
things where
always,
we'll just have to see what happens when it
but
gets out
it's
there.
always sort of come down to a manual disconnect anyway. I mean, as far
Right.
back as I can remember, regardless of how you
The
rate
the
it.
only reason I asked the only reason I specifically asked that question, I know you and I spoke about this week, is that glitch in the system where you'll end your stream, but it still shows you live. It doesn't. You've got to restart and disconnect again. No, is that going to be a drama, or is it not because you're going straight to Glimish and saying stop this stream and it just puts an end to it? Like,
From what I can tell, I mean, this will definitely set your status to offline, and it will definitely put the end date on the stream. Now, OBS might want to reconnect, and maybe that'll knock you back live again. I haven't been able to really test that. Um, and I'll have to see what I can do if there's anything I can do locally to try to test it.
See,
It's kind of it's a
because
difficult thing to sort of test
there is
without
that
putting it out
bug
there.
at the moment, which has been plaguing a lot of my streams, where I do have
Mm.
OBS disconnects randomly, and I've been trying to pinpoint what possibly could be causing it. And I can't. I just, it's nothing on my end. I know that for certain. It's between here and elsewhere. So yeah,
Right. Yeah. So
as,
I that's one of those hard questions for me to answer because I have trouble getting streams to work locally. They don't like I can get them to connect, but they don't. They're slideshows.
yeah,
They're they take up so much of my CPU. So that's going to be kind of one of those. I'm going to put this out there, and we'll see what happens, and hopefully it's all
yeah.
okay.
It's
But in
it's sort of
reality,
gonna have
you
to be a
probably
trial and
should
error
end
thing.
your stream.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
that's also why I put like a 30-second timer on there. It's like, here's 30 seconds to say goodbye to everybody, and you know, um, be ready to end your stream after the raid
Yeah,
happens.
yeah.
So in extreme cases, and I'll say it's an extreme case because it probably is. But let's say I'm streaming, I pull up Speed's channel, I'm going to raid him. I've already hit the button. He doesn't know about it, and then he gets off. Can I cancel that raid, or does it auto cancel because he's gotten offline?
Um, I don't have a. I was thinking of having a cancellation thing on, like have the raid button turn to like cancel raid for the streamer. Um,
Yeah.
but
'Cause you- go on.
go ahead.
No, I was going to say because like if I was going to stream, if I was going to raid another stream and that person got offline, I'm already committed to that point. Like, is there a way to just be like, well, we can't go there, folks, sorry, and then just revert back to going to somebody else? Like,
Yeah, that's one of the things I was. That's one of the things I was thinking of is like if you're, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted you sitting on their stream when you hit the raid button, so that you can say like, oh crap, I got 15 seconds left until this raid happens, and they just said they're going to get off. I'm gonna hit cancel real fast. I definitely want to have that in there where the streamer can cancel it. Um, as far as like once the raid goes through, so what happens in the back end is when you hit raid, I schedule a
yep.
job for 30 seconds in the future, and so I can go cancel that job because I know where it's at. But like that's going to go through at some point if nothing happens. So it's like it's one of those things where, um, you know, if the streamer then decides 10 seconds later, or they have a disconnect on their own side, it's kind of already happened. It's already gone
Yeah,
through.
I mean, but it is one of those extreme scenarios, though, isn't it?
Well, it is, yeah,
Because
and that's what I said.
you're on their channel, you're having a look at
Hmm.
whatever they're doing. It only like say a minute or two would have passed between you deciding, okay, I'm going to check this channel out and I'm going to raid. So
Hmm.
I mean, it's very unlikely that someone would end their stream within such a short window, unless they're just like, "I've had enough of this. Bye, everyone. Disconnect." It's like, it's a very
it does happen.
extreme, rare circumstance. Yes, it does happen.
It does happen, yeah. But I mean, okay. So 2 Ton Waffle in chat's asked, would be cool to have a cancel all raids for the next hour option. Now,
I wouldn't say
that
hour.
then still puts. But that still puts too much pressure back to the streamer to go back into their settings. Like you've got to hold up stream, you've got to go back into your settings, you've got to go over there and go, 20 minutes, turn stream raids off, come back to your stream. It kind of disruptive unless there's a way that can be done through a bot, maybe maybe one of the
Well,
bot guys can figure that out. I don't know.
it's definitely one of those things that is on my list, but it's one of those things where I think it requires at a minimum, it requires either a dashboard, streamer dashboard,
Yeah.
or that you have on your mobile phone or whatever, or chat commands.
Yeah.
Right.
which
Yeah.
are
So
not
you can
bad
block
options,
raid 20
really.
minutes.
See, I would have like
Mm.
configurable time options, so like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or whatever,
Oh yeah,
because I
no, they're
think
only setting it as an hour.
5 minutes is fine, because you kind of know that you're starting to wrap things up. Well, I'll disable raids for the next 5-10 minutes, whatever, and that way you're not getting raided at the very end of your stream. So yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
I'd go
that
down that
still requires a lot of like going in, like you'd have to like go back into your settings and do that. But that's what I mean. It's a very extreme circumstance.
Hmm.
And it probably wouldn't happen very often, especially if you're going in and paying attention or you're talking to the person you're going in, like, hey, how you doing? How's your day? You know, how long you on for? And that's what my mod team used to do back on Mixer. They used to go in and talk like, hey, how you going? Like, what's your day like? What do you got planned? Oh yeah, I'm going to be on for like next 6 hours. We're playing Star Citizen or we're playing, World of Warcraft or whatever. So you kind of got that feel like you knew straight away it was safe to go and raid them. So I guess in some ways it kind of breeds a little bit more sending somebody out to go like, hey, Speed, can you go and find somebody for me to raid? So he goes in and does all the work. And then he goes, oh, mind if I come back with some friends? Like, yeah, no, sure, bring them in. Like it kind of builds that flow on effect. So I think in some ways it kind of opens up more of a even a like an interactive. Like I know some of us have got Glimboy with channel points and stuff like that. Someone could redeem their points to guide the raid. They might have a friend they want you to go and check out. You might not normally listen to them to say, "Hey, go and check out my buddy," because self promo. But if you give them the opportunity to say guide the raid, you might even find somebody that you never knew about before or has the same sort of baseline. So I think it opens up a different angle and different possibilities for different communities. I think that's what really is understanding about. And the problem with that is, like you said before, some people are going to like it, some people are going to hate it, some people are going to use it, some people are not going to use it. It's you can't please the masses. You just kind of got to take a general stand on it, I guess.
One of the best stories I have, I was playing GTA, and I was minutes away from starting to wrap everything up, and then out of nowhere, raid, like 50 people just drop in, and I'm like, what do I do? It's like, I because I was mentally preparing myself to hop off for the night because I had like work the next day.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
well, crap. Oh, I can't let all these people down now. They've just shown up. So I played for like another hour or so. You know,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's one of those we.
But I mean that comes down to the individual, doesn't it? Like that really
It
comes down to
does. I
your
mean,
choice.
because
Like you could
obviously
literally have said,
everyone's.
"Hey, sorry, I'm getting off."
Yeah,
But you're the kind of
would have
person
eaten me
like me. You
alive. Yeah,
wouldn't
I
do
wouldn't
it.
have
You'd
been
be
able
like, "Well, I'll stay a little bit longer. I'll try and get another couple of dubs, or I'll try and get some." So it kind of, I guess it changes the dynamic of when the raid happens. And I mean, having some sort of endpoint control would be cool, but I think it's got to be it's got to be a smooth flow, a smooth transition of how you can set it up. Like rather than having to drop the stream sort of thing to go and set it up to come back, I mean, unless there is a chat command that could be, put in to say, stop raids 5 minutes, and it just so then you give yourself that window of like, okay, I'm getting off, or there's something that can be set up where I just don't know. I don't know how it can be set up because it's really awkward without being disjointed to the stream.
Well, you're not going to perfect it. There are going to be edge cases that are going to break the feature completely.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Where things are not going to go as planned at all. So, I mean, as long as you get it working on the majority
Close.
of the situations,
as long as it's a balance, I guess it's a fair balance of not disrupting but still flowing and feedable to the stream. I think it'll work.
Yeah.
Would there? I guess. I mean, the option would be: would there be a button that you could maybe put in? I don't know, on the channel, maybe in the pop up section or something like that, that says stop bands 10 minutes, or you could, maybe what it just registers what's in your settings and pops up in there, so you could just click it without really hindering the stream too much. Like you go into like where it says pop up chat and hide timestamps. Maybe it could be stop raids for 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean that's really the that's one of the hard parts right now. Is just like, where do I put stuff,
Yeah, where do you put buttons?
right?
Well, I
Because it's
mean,
like,
that's
because even
where a
now,
dashboard
like,
would come in handy.
once
Yeah.
I mean, you know, of the 10 things that I have sitting out as pull requests right now, if all those went in tomorrow, your stream page is going to look, you're going to suddenly have 20 buttons on your stream page. So, because I don't know where else to put stuff. I really don't.
mean,
I'm like, where do I
well,
put
then
this stuff at?
then the question is, do we head down the route of a
dashboard.
dashboard?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Not saying exactly
Like a
like
streamer
what Twitch
dashboard.
has, but a page that obviously only the streamer can see. They can see their live stream, so they know what's running. Chat and all of those annoying buttons that you don't want on your channel page. Right.
Yeah.
We have an annoying buttons button that shows you all the annoying buttons.
I bet. Yeah.
But I mean, look, like you're saying, though, Memory League, are we in that position where we need to start considering a dashboard specifically with what is, scheduled? That's only what you're working on so far. That's not what everyone else is working on. I know there's other people doing other things. How are they going to squeeze in with all of your stuff as well? Like, how is that all going to just jam in on the page and fit? Like, are we looking at a dashboard feature, I guess, to have, like you might have a button there that'll take you to your stream settings and your channel info, your bio, things like that. Like, are we looking at that sort of option?
Yeah, I put a thread out on Building Glimish a couple weeks ago, saying that, look, guys, we're getting to the point we need a dashboard, and what should that look like? So
I'm definitely in agreement with it.
yeah, it's yeah, we're getting there. And the other part of that too is our settings page, particularly the channel settings page, is just chock full of stuff. And it really could be spread apart into multiple little sections. You know what I mean? Like, we don't need the stream key on that page. It could be its own page. You know what I mean? Like, how often are you accessing that? Stuff like that. So,
I mean, you could turn
like
that
the homepage,
into like
live thing, showing on the homepage, that's buried all the way down the bottom of the page, and very few people see it. You know what I mean?
So I guess if a dashboard did come along, which it should, you could definitely rearrange all of those, like everything in the channel settings, like, and have the things that you're more likely going to touch, under a tab or something, and you could tab it out and just have it not as cluttered, I guess.
It'd be cool if you could just drag, like, okay, if I didn't want to have a certain feature, like a certain box, I could take it and put it away and then drag something else into its spot. Like, say, chat. I may not have chat up there because I might have chat elsewhere that I can see through my bot, for example. So I could take chat away and I could put up, say, like, dumb stuff like viewer list, or, I could put up another thing in its spot. So having it customizable would be, I guess, a cool little addition for some people that would not necessarily use all those things, or maybe want to use more, and they could like make them smaller, make them bigger, or
yeah. And I think one of the more important things of that too is having the landing page of the dashboard be something that is easy to navigate on, like a mobile browser. So you can have it up on your phone and you have the big buttons and you can just do what you got to do there too.
I mean, like on the Twitch dashboard, you can customize the buttons that are shown there. So I mean, that's an option as well. Like, because obviously some things you're going to opt out of. so you don't need
I mean,
20 buttons there.
that then pushes the next idea. Is would that then lead into, say, a moderator panel or a moderator dashboard? So if they're a moderator on the channel, would they then get a separate panel that they would have certain points of their moderation tools where they, rather than just having a look, because how many times have you been on a channel and they've gone to ban someone and they've banned the wrong person because chat's bounced, or would that
that's one of the things I
would
want
that
to
be
look
a
at.
feature as well?
Yeah, that's one of the things I want to look at, because particularly the editor features out there right now,
Yeah.
where you can have a channel editor and they have access. I wonder who
I may have had a little bit to do with
suggested
that. Yeah.
but the way we're set up now is they only really have access to that on your stream page. They don't have access to that in the settings because they can't get to your settings. It's going to take them to their settings. So it's having a dashboard where it's maybe multiple views based on what you're looking at. Like, hey, I want to look at my channel's dashboard, or I want to look at this streamer's dashboard, and I have access to pieces of it because I'm a moderator or I'm an editor.
I mean,
Yeah,
would,
that's right.
The way I see it, it would be a separate dashboard compared to.
It would have to be a separate one, yeah.
But it would be more in line with what you would need as a moderator. Having a list of banned users or a list of users on the chat at the moment.
Well, for the moderator thing, like they could have, like the stream sort of sitting up there. They could have a chat section. They could have their tools down the bottom. They could maybe, they could see who they're banned and then maybe have the access to like, oh shit, hey, I banned the wrong person.
Yeah. And
maybe get that back into the chat and, things like that. I mean, maybe there could be a window, like they ban them, but it doesn't ban until the streamer approves it or something along that sort of line. Like, maybe that would flash up on the streamer's dashboard and say, hey, Speed Demon just banned Lordsbot. No, that's fine.
So that's where
they could work together,
a timer
but
would work.
The same.
So like a cooldown timer of the ban. So if you do happen to accidentally ban someone, there's X amount of time between that happening and it actually being a ban. So you do have the option to revert it, I guess.
I mean, as a mod, that timer would be good, or require approval from the streamer. But as a streamer, if you ban someone, that's just straight out, because clearly the streamer's got power of that channel. And I know I've had one person I've had to ban out of my channel, and that's just a straight up ban. Like, there was no questions about it. And even if like Sand Lady being my mod, even if she'd have banned it and it flashed up on mine, I still would have ticked, go. Like, that's your streamer's already aware of it, and they're relying on the mods to kind of moderate that. So I think if the streamer's already watching it and they're aware, and then it flashes up in their dashboard, they're going to tick the box anyway because they're already seeing it.
Yeah, it's I see some of the chat here. We already do have audit logs. We don't have audit logs where I don't think you can put like a reason in there for why you ban somebody, but that is something that could be added pretty easily, actually.
And I think seeing a full chat log as well as a moderator would be good. Like seeing
that would be good
that
too.
Have been deleted. So like naturally you're gonna have that one person be like, "Oh, why'd you ban me? I didn't do this." Then you're like, "Well, there you go." And you don't have to rely on the GCT to be that middleman in that sort of situation. You just handle it directly.
I know Glimboy has that feature. You can log the messages. It puts it into a text file. So that is something that's already there through Glimboy, but I don't know, again, how hard that would be to incorporate from, say, the Glimish side into a dashboard side, like, to go back in the chat logs, because you'd end up with a file like just massive. So,
well, it'd only have to be a temporary log file anyway.
Well, it's I mean, first of all your chat logs are still there from the beginning of time.
Yeah.
We don't delete anything. Like when you delete, here's a little secret of the internet for everybody watching. When you delete something, you don't actually delete
It's
something.
not deleted.
It's
It's
just
never
hidden.
really gone. Yeah.
It's
It's
hidden
not
because
gone.
we
No.
have to hold on to that stuff for auditing purposes,
Yeah, that's
right?
right.
So having all that stuff kind of rolled up is not actually that bad of an ask. Um, I think one of the things I want to do, and I have some plans for chat, is I want to kind of get us away from the icons of like, hey, you gotta click this real fast before this goes off the screen kind of thing, and get us to chat commands. Because
Yeah.
really, once your chat starts getting off to a race, it just becomes impossible to hit those buttons correctly.
Yeah.
So I
Totally.
think that's really what we have to do is we have to get away from that and get towards more of a the other thing that I was thinking too was eventually I want to get a viewer list in there, and I can put the buttons in the viewer list for the mods so they know for sure they're not going to accidentally click somebody that they didn't mean to click, you know. So
Yeah. I mean, I guess
stuff
that's
of
where
of
like
that nature.
something like a slow mode, or being able to pause the movement of the chat. Being able to like hold it in place. Like if you see something pop up, you're like, "Oh, fuck that!" Pause the chat movement so you can actually do something about it. That would be good.
Well, I was talking to Memory Leak before the show about like with the raids, like instead of over moderating it and throwing a blanket over everyone, possibly a slow mode when people are raiding. So it literally gives you that opportunity. If someone comes in and drops something in the chat you don't want, you can you can get rid of it, without actually having to blanket everybody and say, oh well, you've ruined this and you've ruined that, and now it just makes less noise, I guess, for the total situation.
Yeah,
But
I mean there
again,
was
slow mode can be dysfunctional as well. Like if it's used in the wrong aspect, can't it? Like,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not
Yeah, there
saying
was
like slow mode for chat, like in general. I mean, slow mode for moderators, because obviously they need to see a lot more than what normal chat.
yeah, I think
so.
that would come into the dashboard though for the moderator, wouldn't it? Like they'd have a slow mode where they could just, it wouldn't be a general chat. Like, for example, like right now, like, we got MG Live, we got Memory Leak typing in there. Like again, we wouldn't need slow mode there, but the moderators in the back scenes could be like slow mo. Right, I'm going to go through. Yeah, no, that's got to go. They can better do the moderating job from the standpoint of the stream or from the platform. It would be easier. Yeah, and obviously, like you're saying, we'd have to obviously with those sort of features, you'd have to have something for the GCT as well. They'd have to have a dashboard that they could, exactly that, like go and grab messages or um, be able to copy those messages and put them into a report file and say, hey, this is why you were banned, or this is why you've been.
But I mean, that would be
that
the
kind of thing.
more
So it would help.
extreme scenario where the GCT
Yeah,
does
exactly.
But so
you'd have to
they
have
wouldn't
that,
necessarily have to have the same features that a moderator has, because obviously if something happens, the moderator can take care of it. If it starts escalating, then you get the GCT involved. They can, backtrack and whatnot, and do their stuff.
Yeah, and
but if you're going to build it, you build it from the start, wouldn't you? You wouldn't wait 3 months ago. Oh, look, we've got that extreme case. Now we've got to rush and try and do this. It'd be like you just 3 dashboards from the start. Like unless there's a better way for the GCT to read on it and stuff like that, which I mean that's up to them to work out. But a simple dashboard of where they can go in. Maybe I don't know if there's any infrastructure about scrubbing videos back, and they can grab a certain portion of the video and snip it out and say, well, this is why, and things like that would be in that dashboard. But for the general moderator, they wouldn't need it. So just the certain, I guess if we start talking dashboards, we've got to start looking at the overall sense of dashboards and what would be around it, really.
Yeah, and I also put out yesterday, I think, a suggestion on building Glimish about something very similar where you can see read-only, filters against the chat, and you can pop them out as their own windows. So you could see like, here's all the events that just happened. Here's all the people that use this
Oh,
particular
okay.
emote. Here's all the
Yeah.
people that are blah blah blah. And
Yeah,
part of that
right.
is I could add like, here's new people, here's new chatters. Here's this or that, and that could be another way for potentially. It's a little bit harder, but that could be a way for like your mods to be able to see certain things. Or
Yeah.
I had it where you could key off a certain at. Like, we don't have the concept right now of like a meta user, like at mods or something like that, where someone could
Hmm.
type that in and like message the
Yeah, like
mods or something
roles
like that.
sort of thing. Yeah.
But that could be something that could be looked at too. Be like, hey mods, do you see what's going on over here? And then that they could have that popped out in a special window and be like, oh, okay, what's going on? What's
Yeah.
happening?
Yeah,
Maybe I should go
yeah.
look at this. So
Actually, that'd
Yeah.
almost work really well for the
yeah,
GCT too, because you could say at GCT, I need, I need help, sort of thing, and then that would alert the GCT to say like, bing, like, oh shit, memory leak needs help. Quick, someone get on his channel. What's going on?
Yeah.
And there's all this trash there. Like if it was that extreme case, obviously, if you didn't have mods or you didn't have people who could deal with it, that extreme case of at GCT would
Yeah.
just flash up for them to say, hey, so a
Well, that
role
would.
chat, yeah, would be
Yeah.
pretty good, yeah.
I mean, but that would also streamline the process of complaints, really, wouldn't it? So you
Reports
wouldn't have
and
to wait
yeah, I mean it
until
would,
the stream's over, file a complaint. This person did this, blah blah. Supply evidence, and there's
yeah,
this whole back and forth. And bleh. I mean, if you could just sort of like ping them and get their attention so they could get in as it's that would be
yeah. But that would only fall down if you had no mods listed on your channel. I think if you didn't have a mod listed,
cool. Yeah, I
that
mean,
would
like,
only ping a GCT because you've got mods to do that job. That's what they're there for.
yeah, I mean, like,
So you
personally,
wouldn't
I
just
don't have
ping
any
the GCT and
mods,
say, "Oh, he said
but
shit in my channel." Like, we, like that's, you know
he
what I mean?
called
Like,
me a
oh, he
duty
said
head.
nude.
I don't like that person.
Like
Yeah,
if you've got mods, that's their role to be like, get out, just go away. Like,
yeah.
so I think,
Obviously, it's people causing trouble. I think would be the more
yeah,
extreme case where the GCT does need to sort of step in and be like, yo, calm your shit or get out, kind of thing.
because I mean, you're not looking for them to come in and ban. You're just trying to bring attention to that user. It's like, hey, check this person out because they're not
Hmm.
friendly, I guess, in the context of what's going on here right now. So,
Yeah,
and that would then also fall into your raids, as you were saying before, memory leak. You work on that raid feature. That would also be a good little, I guess, access point to sort of see that.
right. Yeah.
Hmm. Interesting. It's
just
definitely one of those.
the
It's one of
problem
those
now
interesting
is
like features, isn't it?
the problem now is that we've now given memory like another 20 things to do, right?
There's another 5 years
You
worth of
know,
work.
I mean, that's the way it goes. Right? It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, right? It's like, you know, the community on Glimish is very interested in Glimish, um, which is good because it means that on the one hand, yeah, I'll never have an end to any work. Um, but on the other hand, that's probably good because it means that everyone's still engaged in the platform. I've said this numerous times. Um, if your app starts to go stagnant, that's a sign that bad things are to come.
Yeah.
If you're always changing, then the world is your oyster, right? So
I mean, I
I
guess
mean,
with the platform
you
being
can't make a
as
mistake, can you?
yeah, uh, I guess with the platform being as young and as basic as it is, there's lots of room. So there's always going to be new ideas, coming through to, we should do this. But then it's like, oh, okay, well, this other place does the same thing. Let's try not do what they did and sort of make out our own thing. Yeah.
But not only that, you can't make mistakes, can you? Because everything you do is a learning curve. So you
Yeah.
put it out and you go, oh shit, whoops, I
Yeah.
I've got to pull that back out for a minute because I forgot this line. You can then, it's a learning curve. You're always learning that next phase of it. And
Yeah.
like you said, you start this feature, but that feature opens up another 4 options, and you're like, oh well, shit, that 4 is going to create another 3. Oh, geez, I didn't think about that. So
Yeah.
you start learning
Yeah.
as you're going. Like nothing is ever wrong.
Yeah.
It's
But
just, is it finished? Is it the right time for it? Like that's what it comes down to.
But it's also not following the crowd. You don't want to implement something that Twitch has, because then someone's going to be like, oh, Twitch has already got that. Why would I come over here? They're going to be a total dick about
Right.
it. So you want to try and do things in your own way and keep it, have that originality
Fresh
there.
Yeah.
To a certain extent, I think
Yeah.
I think one of the things that we are struggling with is that there's a certain feature set that people are expecting.
Yeah.
Like a
And
base set
it's
of features.
hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. Like the barrier to entry is very high, because all of the people that the YouTubes and the Twitches of the world have been around for over a decade. They have over a decade of code and features, and a new person coming into that is just, it's overwhelming, because it's just like, how you can't write 10 years of features in 6 months. You know what I mean? It just does. The physics just doesn't work out on that. And a lot of that is just, people kind of just expect that out of the box functionality, because they don't want to learn something new sometimes.
Well, that's the thing that we've seen here. Obviously people have come from other platforms that are more well developed, or copied from other platforms that are more well developed. So they're expecting a feature that's exactly like that feature on other platforms. It's like, well, yeah, you're going to have this base set of features, the function of the feature, but it's how you implement that function, to give it its own sort of the charismatic flair for the platform itself. That'll sort of make the difference.
The biggest problem is, and like we've seen this through the social medias and stuff, and we've even heard it through just side note, we've seen it on the channel. We've seen people typing it. I've spoken to people outside, and some may or may not be in chat. Someone may have had personal conversations with in and out of chat from SideNote as well. But Glimish doesn't have rating. Well, yeah, no, it's 12 months old. Yeah, but Twitch has got it. Yeah, but Twitch has been around 15 years. Like, that's like saying, my 1-year-old child can't carry a bucket of water, but my 15-year-old child can. Like, no shit. Like, put apples and apples together. Stop comparing Twitch with Glimish or Twitch with, what was it, Altair or Brime, or stop comparing Twitter with Hover or Mastodon. They're not the same. They're different. Like, you've got to get in. Like, you've got to understand. And like, a site the size of Glimish, and I say the size of Glimish because it's still relatively small, is not going to put out every feature that everybody wants. It's going to be a work in progress. It's going to be, here's the baseline. We've got a streaming site. Can you stream? Yes. Can you build a community? Yes. Then shut up and go and do it. Like, I mean,
but people expect,
what more do you want?
But like, people also expect Glimish to be a competitor. They come over here, they think, oh, it's going to be a competitor to Trovo, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook gaming. It's not. It's not going to be a competitor. It's only starting out. It's going to be an option for you to display your content. That's where it's at. Like, it's not even close to being a competitor, and probably won't be very, very long time, depending on how long it stays around for. Like, that's it.
But I wonder, and this is sort of the struggle that I have in my mind when I'm trying to prioritize what I work on. Like, we kind of, whenever people say, well, there's no viewers on your platform, well, there's none of this, well, there's none of that, how am I supposed to build a community here? We often say, like, well, it's up to you to do what you need to do to make it. But at what point is it up to us to provide tools to help you do that? Like, rating is a tool, hosting's a tool,
Yeah.
share button's a tool,
Yeah.
the chat stuff is a tool. Like where does it become our responsibility to actually give
Yeah.
you a hammer
I
so
mean,
you can make a
there,
house?
there was that
I mean,
stage where it was up to the user to promote the platform, and like that was it. It's like that's as far as that went. It didn't really go any further.
there's, I mean, to kind of, I guess, not to sit on the fence, but to kind of combat what you're saying, though, Memory Lake, is at what point do we stop providing tools? At what point does a streaming site have to like physically say, hey, we've given you the hammer, the saw, and the screwdriver. What more do you want from us? Like, what more do you expect from us to do to build your community? This is technically streaming as your own business. You can't go to another business and say, hey, give me all the tools to build my business so I can be successful while I shoot you in the foot. Like, you know what I mean? Like, again, not to play that other side, but I mean, there's that other side where you can't continuously just keep giving, streamers the tools and because they're just going to keep saying, oh, you didn't give me this, so your site's shit, or you didn't give me this, I can't build that. You didn't give me this. It's like, it's forever evolving into that. You never give this point, so why should I give you my time? At some point, reality has to set in for streamers and realize if you can stream to a site, you can have access to your chat. Anything outside of that is really on you to either find or to assist in giving the idea to build that. Like we've done with you, like you said, you've had a lot of community input towards the co-streaming, towards a rating, even down to the UI upgrades and stuff like that. You've had a lot of input for that. And then you've just gone and keyboard warriored the living hell out of it all and made this giant list of, hey, look what I've done. But again, there's that other side is there's always going to be more. They want more.
Well, it's the streamer meta right now. Yeah, it's the instant success. The instant gratifications. Like, well, I'm streaming here now.
Yeah.
Community, like, you've got to build that. You are the content creator. You create your community. You're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. You can't just have everyone be like, oh, there's someone else's here. I'm a part of that community now. Sweet. Like, it just doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. It's not a utopia.
No, but so where do we draw the line? Like, what do we say? Like, is there an endpoint to giving to the creator to build their stuff without them actually having to do the basic footwork themselves?
I mean, like, having the tools there for moderation and all that sort of jazz, like, that's obviously a key point. Being able to share out your channel, like, that's another little tool. But beyond that, it's really falls on the streamer. Like, because
I think so.
The platform has given you a home.
To having too much.
It's like Glimish has given you a house, electricity, water, basic amenities, that sort of jazz. It's up to you to keep that shit running.
To furnish it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to be like, oh, yeah, but I'm cold. Buy clothes. I mean, that's on you. It's up to you to flesh out your home, and you can't. It's like relying on real estate to, So, but I've got no furniture. You have to give me furniture. It's like, no, that's you. That you do. Yeah. It's a good analogy.
It's one of those. I mean, and take Twitter for what it is, but it's one of those common refrains I see on Twitter a lot, which is like, well, you guys aren't pro to me. Your homepage looks dead. How am I supposed to get
Yeah.
people to see me? And it's like, I don't know. I can just build you some tools. What do you want?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a cheerleader. I don't know how to
Yeah.
make
that's
you
right.
popular.
I mean, but
I just
then
write
you're
code.
heading into a deeper state because there's algorithms, and I mean that's
Yeah.
YouTube's problem at the moment. You know, you got algorithms fighting against the content creator, but trying to support the content creator. So it's a messy
The
scenario.
biggest,
I mean,
the biggest,
every time it's like, you guys don't have view counts on the page. I'm like, what do you want?
yeah.
It's like we're
I
trying to
mean,
do
for me,
something
the
different.
biggest aspect is, okay, you've got the ability to, have a bot, be it whether it's Mix It Up, Glimboy, Pixel, they're still technically bots. You've got those functionalities to have those inputs into your channel. So you can still have glorified pictures come up when people follow, or, messages that you can put out. You can still have that.
Yeah.
You've got the opportunity to gift subs to other people. All right. The back end system for when they cancel might be a little broken, but that'll be fixed in time. Like that's a whole nother wizardry section. But overall, like, the rating, the hosting, they're all just pluses. They're all just like, hey, here's a benefit to being here. Like I don't think it's a necessary tool, but I think it's just because we become, I say we as in content creators, become so lazy because of Twitch and even Mixer to some degree had really like flushed that into the system. Like, hey, go and raid, go and do this, go and host. Because that flushed it into us, it's hard for creators to just desync from that and say, hey, this is bare basics, and I can actually do this myself. I can take all my countless years of experience and push over there, because they see the likes of Ninja and all those guys, and they're all like, "Oh, I can be famous like them." No, no, no. You're not going to be famous like them. Let's put that hand up right now and say, no, that's not going to happen, because it's a different audience. They've achieved their things by doing things differently to the rest of the model. You can't follow their model and expect to be them. It's not the way. Um, it's not the way you go about your creation. It's just they use the tools they had at the time, which again, I don't need to remind people that back when Ninja was starting to get big, they didn't have half the features they have now. Like, he had to work that stuff out manually to get where he is. So I think it's just I guess in quotations, it's just lazy content creation. I think that's
mean,
what it comes down to.
That's society, though. Now we've all become
Yeah.
extraordinarily lazy. We don't do any hard work. We don't, fight for our goals or whatever. We just go, okay, this is where I'm starting. That's where I want to be, and just hope that the magic happens.
Why isn't it happening? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. It's like, why aren't I there yet?
Like,
I'm not popular. It's been a week. Come on.
yeah, right. And take nothing away, Memory Leak, from what you guys in the back scene, like yourself and Mytho and everyone else coding, like, take nothing away from what you guys are doing. These are amazing features. The reality is, people have kind of pushed for that because they're lazy and because they expect it because everyone else has it. And I just don't necessarily agree that, they're features that are 100% needed for the platform or the creator. They're just bonuses, and it's just a lick of fresh air to have the ability to raid somebody. I think that's just a nice feature to have, not
And
a base
I think
feature.
that's where some of the current features that we've got have fallen into that. It's what everyone else has been doing, so we'll do that. Like, gifted subs, RTMP wasn't necessary, but we've bent over backwards, catered to people, and haven't really focused.
People
on
made noise about the RTMP, so well, that's what everyone wants, so let's get it out. It's not a case of being true to what was there, like maximizing what we can get in. Let's just try and get it out to the masses, and I think that's that's where we got to kind of direct a little bit of further motion. Is it going to be a feature that will help not only the platform grow, because I mean, at the end of the day, you've got to have the platform growing. If you don't have the platform growing, those features are pretty much redundant, and that makes, memory leak and all these other guys basically redundant from doing anything, and that's not what we need to do. Like I said, what's that count for you now, memory leak? 10 features,
10 that
10,
are
8.
waiting, and 2 that are in the pipeline. Yeah.
So you got 12 that you've taken your hand to. Like we can't waste that opportunity for those like those coders to be getting that out there. Like, they're good features, 100%. They're good features, and they're going to bring a spark to the platform. But we've also got to stop being lazy as creators and actually get ourselves out there, because it's our business. It's our name. It's not, Glimish's name. They're not promoting us. We're not paying them to promote our business. It's up to us to do it. If Glimish does ever get to a point of promotions and paying out for ads and stuff like that, we are going to benefit. There's no question about it. We kind of get that free kick on and floating up the river more, because now there's a flow on. But at the end of the day, if it's not for Memory Leak and Mytho and all those guys creating this stuff, where would it be at this very moment? Like, where would we be sitting?
Yeah.
Caffeine.tv.
Caffeine. At least you didn't say D-Line, so I'll give you that one.
I can tell you where I'd be sitting, and it wouldn't be anywhere. I've heavily contemplated, this was my last run here. If Glimish were to just shut its doors one day, that would be it. I mean, I'm not out to become the next big famous streamer. I don't care about that. I'm quite happy streaming to my little tiny community, and that can slowly grow. That's fine. I'm okay with that. So yeah,
I just pull up a chat there. Ivry's all there. I could argue Glimish is doing very little to market themselves or trying to fit a niche. For example, like catering to small communities or marketing angle to sell the platform. It's definitely an interesting point, because Glimish themselves, yes, aren't. Like, it's not really an argument there. They're not aiming for that niche market. But at what point do they target that niche market is the question.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really targeting a market.
How do they identify? How do they identify themselves? Like, do they identify themselves as a small community niche market, or are they trying to identify themselves as a big player in the game? So I think until that's funneled and they work out exactly what they want to target, right now, it's probably a good thing they're not trying to target anything, because they could play themselves out of one or the other. Depends on which way they flip and flop. You can't necessarily target the small market and then blow up and be big, but you also can't target the big market and then stay small. It's got to be there's got to be a direction. There's got to be some sort of sit down understanding what the platform is, what the direction is going to be, and then target said market value that way.
It'd be more promoting the benefits of streaming on the platform, the benefits to being a smaller streamer with a smaller community, would fit well here. Sort of aiming down that road.
I think to their point too, there's a very prevalent feeling in technology in general that if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
And my experience tells me that that's really only part of the formula.
Yeah.
You really do need to stay in people's minds, whatever that means. Whether that's just regularly tweeting, or whether that's just through some other advertising or something like that. because there's a lot of things competing for people's attention, and
Hmm.
it's very easy for people to just forget about you who would have been interested in the first place, but maybe they dipped their toe in, they said, oh, I'll come back later, and then they just kind of
I mean,
forgot
because
about you.
it could even
Well,
come down to going and checking out something similar that offers just
mhm.
a little bit more. Not a lot more, but it could be just that's something a little bit more that is more enticing than what's over here. So naturally,
And
people
to
will shift.
just to further expand on what Memory League was saying there, Cellrack come in and said caffeine still regularly emails me, definitely need a market push. So again, free advertisement, emails, Twitter, like I mean, they're free, and like that's obviously sitting in Cellrack's mind. Like caffeine's, you know, you said caffeine, he's like, oh, they still email me. You know, again, it's sitting on the top of the brain. It's like, you know, it's there. Like, yeah, I think we've spoken about it before, Speed, but you know, when you say, oh, I'm a streamer, like, what's your Twitch handle? You know, it's like straight away, it's like
Yeah,
Twitch. What's your
but
Twitch? You
that's the
know,
streamer meta though.
that's
It's like, oh
but
yeah,
but that's
you're a
just what
streamer.
sits
You
in the top of
clearly
their
stream
head, you
on.
know.
Yeah, it's like you're a streamer. You
I
clearly
I
stream on top
guarantee
platforms.
that there's somebody in chat who's sitting there right now, and I can say this word, and I guarantee the word that's going to come back out is "fuck them." All right, and that's Trovo. Like, because as soon as you think that, you instantly think crypto. You're thinking, you know, all that shit that's going on. You're thinking boxes and all this garbage crap over there. Like, you know, that's relating to that name. So again, if we say if we say memory leak, everyone goes, "Oh, Code Monkey," because he said it himself, and it just sticks. It's like, "Oh, he's a Code Monkey." You know, that's what happens. It's like, you know, it's just funny. Um, you know, it's very much about using your free options, and you know, weekly emails, like pushing them out, scheduled tweets, just talking shit, like, "Hey, come and join our."
Yeah.
Have you seen what? You know, it's just it's so basic that you can just
I
do it
mean,
instantly, and you get access to it
so
all.
do we head down the route again? Because obviously it died where the people who use the platform need to start spruiking it up again. You know, because free advertising is the best advertising. It's the same as like game companies. You know, they get their free advertising from the people who play their games, either on stream or record videos for YouTube. That's free advertising, and it's great advertising. They love that shit. They hate DMCA, but they obviously love the free advertising that comes with it. And like, do we need to head back down that road where we need to sort of, get everyone back on board with promoting the platform? Because I mean, that's something that we can do as a user, but obviously that only goes so far. Then you've got proper marketing that has to come from the Glimish side to push it to that wider audience that we as users won't be able to get to, because obviously our reach is limited because we're all small communities here. We're not like fucking Markiplier or anything. We're not going to hit millions of people, because if we did, there'd be a lot more people here. It's like, so you know, do we go back down that path again?
I don't know.
Do we try and push it? Is there a point to pushing it? All these all these questions don't have answers. Because
Well,
there's
that's
no
the thing. I
direction.
mean, well, that was going to be my point. You know, the direction, like from memory leak as a coder, like what are you feeling direction wise? Like, what are you getting? What's the vibe you're picking up from the direction?
Well, one of the things streaming the coding that I've done, one of the things I've noticed is that it has sparked more interest in the platform, because people are like, "Oh, cool, this is an open source platform. Oh, cool, I can affect some changes. Oh, cool, I can see how the sausage is made. You know,
Yeah.
it's not the most exciting thing in the world, but you can at least drop in for a couple minutes and
Right?
just
Yeah.
ask some questions and things like that. Um, and I think that was one of the reasons why I wanted to do that, was to kind of put it out there and be like, hey, like, let's have some sort of push. Like I don't have reach, but I can at least be consistent in
Yeah.
in what I do, and you know, at least reach who I can. Um, but it does. I mean, there comes a point where there has to be some sort of buy-in, um, because like I said, there's a list of things out there waiting, and you know, a lot of my plans involve some of that code that's waiting,
Yeah.
like expanding upon it and integrating those things and working with it. And there has to be at least, like, I'm all for the community taking the ball and running with it, and I'm trying to encourage that. But there has to be like at least a minimum of removal of roadblocks,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, as we're going, because you know, there will come a point like where I can't really go forward in the coding because there'd be too much sitting out there waiting.
Yeah.
Right.
Um,
And
and you know, it's not a matter of like tossing someone the keys and being like, "Here you go, have fun." No,
yeah,
it's more like, you know, it just needs a little bit of attention here and
yeah.
there.
I guess
Yeah,
It needs to
that's kind of where
stabilize,
I'm
I
at.
guess, is the point.
Yeah,
It's got to stabilize somewhat, one way or the other. It's kind of got to rebalance itself back into a nice plane again, doesn't it?
I think like
Yeah.
one of the things that we've definitely lost along the way is anybody can work on stuff for the platform. You know, it's sort of like there was that hype around it early on. It's like, oh yeah, everyone can do something, you know, for the platform. And now it's just sort of like, and then naturally new people come in. They don't know. They just expect that there are people like you who I guess, you know, they would think, oh well, you work Flemish. You know, you're doing coding
yeah,
in Flemish. You work with
Well,
Flemish.
yeah. I mean
Yeah,
that's been asked before. Like, are you part of Glimish? And it's
yeah,
like, I kind of, in my chat, and remember, like, I put this to you on Twitter, and it was a private discussion. I said, look, I didn't mean it that you're, just a coder, but that's, at the end of the day, that's what it is. I mean, we've already seen the correlation with Banjax and Mix It Up. Mix Up like, oh, we've got the CEO of fucking Glimish over here. Banjax is like, no, no, that's not accurate. The CEO is actually over there on Glimish. So again, like it's when you see these regular faces, and this is what we were seeing in chat there. When you're regular doing the things, people just automatically associate you with that. So that's the thing. It's consistency. It's a value. It's like it doesn't cost anything to set up a scheduled tweet. Promote your Discord for crying out loud 3 times a week. People are going to say, "Oh, Gloomy should post a Discord link again." But again, it's there. It's in their eyes. It's in their. it's
it's
there.
in their
Like
feeds. Yeah,
it's in their feeds exactly.
yeah.
yeah. Like there are a
Someone
lot of
retweets it who's got 10,000 people. That's another 10,000 people that see that one tweet. Like it's a flow effect. Like, yeah,
there are a lot of people out there who are very good at coding, right? Who could, you know, do what you're doing and just pump features out one after another and just blast stuff into the platform. They could do that in a heartbeat, but it's the voluntary side of it which is discouraging to a lot of these people. So it was just sort of hoping at this stage, you know, you could be very good at what you do. Just give us a little bit of your time. Yeah, help us get going.
yeah.
There's going to be that
But there's
that benefit
that
There's
block
there,
there, isn't there?
really. Yeah.
there's a coordination thing there too. It's
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I think we've discussed that like ages ago. You know,
yeah,
you, the
yeah.
devs
It's
being
like,
able to talk with each other and be like, right, well, you know, I'm working with this, you know, and that way there's no conflict of interest. There's no two people working on the one thing, or or anything
Right,
like
and
that.
there's one of the adverse side effects to me increasing my rate of putting features out too is that um, I'm spreading out amongst the platform, right?
Yeah.
So it's hard. Like I believe someone was asking in Discord a couple days ago, like, "Hey, I might have some time. Is there something I can work on?" It's like, well, maybe, but there's no list, and
Yeah.
I've been like all over the place, and
Yeah.
I can't like direct you to one particular place to go because
Yeah.
it's
But see,
going to
like
be
that's a tool that the platform should be giving to people like yourself who are coding. It's not. It shouldn't be you trying to coordinate your efforts with other people who are also coding for the platform. So there should be a place where you can all sort of meet up, be like, right, this is everything that's being worked on. If someone's got an idea, be like, okay, I've got an idea for this, but it would actually use some of your code in that idea. Then collaboration efforts start to go and play. Then it's just waiting on that feature's now live. This person can start working on their feature that incorporated that feature. It would just make everything run so much smoother than we'll just guess
yeah.
and
And
hope
it's
that our paths don't cross at some point.
and to answer the questions from Cellrack in chat, the list on GitHub is might not be up to date. Like I've looked at some things on there and I couldn't tell you if they're still broken or not. I know there's a few that I've put on there that are still definitely a thing, but it's mostly bugs on there. There are like a few features listed on there, but I don't nobody knows that list is there other than the developers. Um, and building Glimish has been pretty good, but it's been very hard to get people to go there and do stuff. A lot of times people will just
Yeah.
drop something in Discord suggestions
Hmm.
and then it gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
So it's been really hard to get people to go over there and kind of put stuff on those threads and sort of get feedback over
Like
there and stuff.
that's on that.
Yeah.
That's something that Lord and I have discussed. It's essentially taking away those redundant sections out of the Discord, like suggestions, like that. It should just automatically get directed straight to building, because obviously that's where the
Well, I mean,
suggestions
like
go.
with the suggestions folder, like what if you went in there and there was no way to post and it just said go to building.glimish and like had the link, like you click on it to go and drop your suggestion, like again,
Or they
that
could
was
just, I
also an
mean,
advertising opportunity right there, though, isn't it? Advertise the Building Glimish site. Like come and see what we're working on. Come and see what come and share your ideas with us. Like
But
it's
it's
just a
also
flow on effect. It
structured.
would build it.
It's not. It's
Right.
structured. You can see everything
It's a thread.
categorized.
Yeah, it's a thread base.
It's
Yeah.
not. Oh well, I don't. Because I've done it. I don't know if this has been mentioned before, but this is my idea or suggestion. Because you're not going to scroll back through. God knows.
And then someone says, "Oh yeah, it was mentioned like 8 months ago, but to go 8 months ago, you
it's
got to
like,
go up
well, I
half an
don't
hour
know
up the
about it.
freaking
Yeah.
chat." Like it's
But
so
on
hard,
building
where-
Blemish, like on building Blemish, yes, you still have to scroll through, but it's a lot easier to find stuff than to go and try and find that one post that is a suggestion with the 50 responses that are with it.
yeah. And also the suggestions category on building Glimish you can vote on too, and sort it by how many people voted. But also in the Discord, like I believe Discord has like a forum thing now where you can have it look more like a bulletin board system kind of thing.
What's
And
the
maybe
point of
that would
that?
be
Like,
better.
there's building Flemish.
But even so,
Yeah,
Gilded's
it-
had
yeah.
that since
Mhm.
day one. You've been able to have threads and documentation there. So again, but that seems to get forgotten about. Like the Gilded just seems to be another arm that just kind of just happened. It was just like, it's there, but there's that thread option in there. So, you could create that. Like, I don't know. I mean, there's just so many options, but I think there's so many easy options that just wouldn't cost much. That would just be a case of set and forget, like
It's more about structure. From what I can see, there needs to be more structure and a more direct approach to certain things. None of this. Oh
Hmm.
well, it doesn't matter where you can go. Everything's there. Like that doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense to me. So, like, I believe that Discord should be general chat and text. That's realistically all it should be. It shouldn't be anything
Yeah,
more
the
than
tickets
that. Yeah,
where they can go like talk you through your
yeah,
support ticket maybe,
yeah.
and then
You've made a building
suggestions should
blemish.
feed to building.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you've made a building blemish.
Push-
Discuss features, suggestions over.
Well, I mean,
It shouldn't be in
the building glimish stuff is also for building the Discord as well, like the Discord glimish.
Yeah,
They're kind of one and the same. You can put in requests in building glimish for the Discord. So I don't understand why suggestions or feedback or anything like that don't just point straight to building glimish. Just
but
archive the
there are
channel
also
and just send them straight there.
yeah, but there are also multiple channels that deal roughly with the same thing.
With the
It's
same
like
thing.
it's it's this imaginary line that's drawn in the sand. Well, that should belong in that section, and that should belong in that section. But there's no like clear cut. This should be a thing. So why not merge the two things together? And just make it less confusing for people. That's
Yeah.
For me, that's been a problem since I first joined that Discord. I'd go to post something in and be like, no, that doesn't belong here. Yeah, it's kind of related to this. Well, no, it belongs over there. It's like, how am I supposed to know that?
And then you've got to go and move it. So now you've doubled up on it, and you've got people chatting on both sides, and it's just a mess. Like, just point everything to building glimish. Just no chatting in those channels. Just bang, like go here, click this link, over you go. Go and type it out there. It's like right there. Then everyone can comment on it, build it, and help shape the ideas. Like, Memory Leak's been doing in with the co-streaming. I know that was one that you put in there, and I know you put in a few others, and then you've been tweeting things out as well. It's like get into. I've posted on building glimish. Like I see. The sad thing is, I see you posting more about the building glimish than I see from glimish.
Yeah.
That's the reality is like that's an easy tweet to set up and schedule it every day or every other day, 6 p.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., and set and forget. Like it just goes. Like
and in
hell, I'll
response
put my
to
hand up. Give me access to Twitter. Put me on the Twitter teams. I'll set the damn thing up.
Yeah.
I don't care, but like it's not hard.
It's like capitalizing tags. Like there are games in the list that aren't capitalized or punctuated correctly that drives me up the wall. Like even just generalized tags. Please give me a day. I will go through that list myself and I will correct every single one of them. Please. But in response to Ivrazil in chat, about organizing the digital mess, it's not about it's just making it simpler to use. It's simplifying the process that needs to happen. It's not about having everything
I guess
fully categorized. And,
it's just where do you want that stuff? Like, where do you want it? Do you want it scattered through there and you got 100 people in 3 months asking the same thing? Or do you just want to go and push everyone there so they can go in and go, oh, someone's already talking about it. Oh, okay, yep, they're building it. They're working on it. Okay, cool. I won't even bother.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of that ties back to the laziness we were talking about earlier, where people just they're used to Discord and they don't want to learn anything else.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. Like it just falls back into that window.
I'm okay with that. You did touch upon the one bugbear that I have with Discord, which is no, this has got to be over on this other channel. Because when I'm trying to track things down, that annoys the hell out of me. I'm like, oh, now I got to look over here for this thing. Oh, I got to look over here for this thing. It got bounced around 3 times.
Yeah, it does.
But yeah, I mean, it's hard to get people to like, even though it's there's no, I mean, here's the epitome of it, right? We've had people complain about having markup code. using markup for your profile and stuff,
Yep.
because people just don't like to have to learn markup. And I'm like, building Glimish is all markup too. So it's like, oh man, how do we sell both of those at the same time? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, it just comes down to streamlining, doesn't it? It's about saying, okay, this is where we want all suggestions, questions, whatever. We want them all over there. So go and push them over there. Like it's not hard. Like just take a stand and say, this is what we're doing. You know, people will get used to it quickly. They'll be like, oh,
yeah.
well, if I want to make a suggestion, I've got to go on that. Someone's probably already covered it.
Yeah,
You know.
but they either will or they won't. But it all comes down to
That's
simplifying. Like as Waffle said, you know, the support section could be condensed, you know, easily. Not necessarily to build in Blemish for them, but like there are parts in there that double up, and
Yeah.
it's like, you know, we've got streamer support for streaming problems, and then there's like tech support. It's like, well, aren't they kind of one and the same? You know, why separate those two? You're just making it more confusing for everyone, because then you've got people who don't know which one to put it in. They put it in one, they get told, oh no, it can't go in there. They put it in the other one. You know.
We'll tell them to send an email to suggestions at Glimish and have it automatically generate whatever we need.
just automatically generates a thing in building Glimish. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Oh god damn.
I could see that failing immediately. Yeah.
I think on that punchline, I think we might just wrap this show up. We have been on 2 hours. But just a quick wrap up, Memory. Just if you want to go through for some of the guys who weren't here earlier, and just want to like pinpoint those things that have been done. Like obviously there was the GIF chats and things like that. So you just want to like dot those out and just give people an idea.
Yeah. So real quick, a couple of things that are kind of waiting to be merged that aren't live yet, but they're waiting. Is the some homepage rejiggering. So the categories will appear on the homepage above the videos. Then you'll have the videos underneath of it that all are above the fold, and they'll spread out to take out the whole page. Basically, I took away a lot of the marketing text on the page because nobody needs that there. That could be on a marketing page. And just made it focused on the streams and focused on the chat, on the categories. Each category will tell you how many streams are live underneath the categories. So have that there. And then in addition to that, there's another another feature where underneath those streams, it'll show a random assortment of subcategories and tags of the live streams. So subcategories being what game you're playing, what activity you're doing in the other categories, and the tags being, you know, your normal podcast or
web
whatever,
show and podcast,
web show,
up on
that kind of thing.
Top side over there.
And it'll take a random 20 of those, put them on the homepage, and they're clickable. So you can click on them and it will actually go and take you to the correct category and filter it out and show you the streams that have those particular tags on them. So that's another way of kind of surfacing the fact that there's more than just like 3 or 4 streams going at any one time on the site. In addition to that, a couple bug fixes here and there that have come up. I know there was some on the chat settings page, on the channel settings page, where you select certain things for chat. One of the buttons can become disabled and it doesn't look like it's disabled. So I've kind of fixed that and I've kind of changed the order of it based on whether you're hiding hyperlinks or not. You know, there's another one underneath of it that kind of is tied to it that actually does disable itself, but doesn't look like it. So it was causing confusion. So I have a few bug fixes there. In addition to that, we have for new streamers on the platform, when they're within their first week of streaming, or I think it's like 20 or 10 hours, something like that.
Pretty sure it's 10 hours.
10 hours. They will get a little tag associated. The system will put a tag on your stream that says new. It'll be red, and you can filter by people who are new. So you can see all the new people on the platform, and you can welcome them and answer their questions and all kinds of fun stuff like that. So it'll be a lot easier to find them. And that's based on your first stream, not based on how long you've had your account. So if you've just had your account for years and you've never streamed, you'll still be considered new as soon as you start streaming for the first time. So that's how that goes. And then as far as chat related stuff, we have animated GIFs, reaction GIFs for chat going against the Google Tenor API. So you'll be able to react in a very dynamic way going forward. There'll be a new button in the chat that you can click on. And again, all these things follow the normal platform, like you have to opt in for them. So when they come down the pike, they'll be off by default. So you as a streamer can come in and say, oh yes, I want this, or yes, I want that kind of thing. And then those are things that are kind of out there and committed and just waiting for approval and merging and stuff like that. I have two more things that I'm still actively working on that are getting close. One of them is autocomplete for the chat. So when you want to reply to someone in chat, or you do the at and their name, their username, as you type that out, you'll get suggestions for what users to select. Those suggestions are based on who has chatted, not based on who is watching. So if you're a lurker, you don't have to be worried about being found out. If you haven't chatted within the last 2 hours, you will not be suggested as an auto suggest. So good stuff there. And oh yes, rating. Working on that.
Oh.
Oh, I forgot.
Oh, forgot.
I forgot about that major
about-
feature I was working on. Oh.
about 70% done rating right now. Have to do a bunch of testing and have a few logistical things to work out, like being able to cancel a raid in progress and just some general, like, making it look somewhat decent. My UIs are not very good, so I'll try my best to make them at least somewhat usable, but they're, if you're expecting them to be pretty, you're looking at the wrong guy. I mean, look at this.
And
this
it's
isn't pretty.
customizable too, isn't it?
So yes, and as far as the rating is concerned, even though on the settings pages we call them raids, but you can customize the text that will show up when a raid comes in on your channel. So you can call whatever you want in that, and it will show up when it shows up in your channel. It'll show up with whatever message you've put in there. And you can replace in there, the streamer's name that came in and the number of viewers that came in, or you can leave those out if you don't want them on there. It's up to you. And you can customize and call it whatever you want. You can call it a red alert. You can call it a invasion. You can call it a glim party. Whatever suits your fancy. And that will be that's that. So far.
I can see some comical related things happening from that.
There's a lot more to come. I'm focusing a lot more on the chat right now. I'll give you a little taste of a few things I'm looking at. Chat backgrounds, chat's font size, chat font. So open dyslexic, if you have problems reading the current font, that will help out a bunch. And what's the other thing? Commands, chat commands, and at least the beginnings of that. I have grand plans for the commands, but the first iteration is going to be probably pretty simple on that. And also viewer lists that will be tailored based upon who you are. If you're just a viewer, you'll only be able to see certain people. If you're a mod, you'll be able to see more people. If you're a streamer, you'll be able to see more people than that. Those kinds of things are some of the things I'm looking at. Eventually, once some of the back end stuff that Clone is working on gets a little bit further along, I will probably look at doing embedded videos for other sites and giving you the ability to say what sites you want to allow to embed your video, so it just can't be anywhere. Um, and Eventually I'll get back to co-streaming. I don't know when, because I'm kind of like I'm kind of afraid of it right now. I'm afraid of going back to it, but I will
I
eventually
mean,
get back to it.
that one was a major undertaking, so
Yeah,
it's fair.
there's still a lot of work on that one. I don't
Cool.
blame you for stepping back on that one, sir. Not at all. That's a very big undertaking. And if the infrastructure does change, it makes it, you're gonna have to go back and redo it anyway. So
Yeah,
it just makes
yeah. I
more
mean,
sense just to put it on hold for now.
that's part of it too. And there's been talk of a site, redesign as far as like this look and feel of the site, and that would also have a big effect on it too. So I've been kind of like putting that aside for now, um, until we see what's going on with all that. And just another thing is that I stream. I have a small feature Friday. Everyone's welcome to come to and yell at me about how I'm doing things or not doing things. That's great. I desperately need feedback from the community on a lot of things. I need you to talk me off the ledge sometimes, because I do go crazy with some features, and people come in and be like, "Why don't you just do it simple like this?" I'm like, okay. Um, and the same on so that's Friday nights, and then Saturday and Sunday afternoons. I do longer streams, several hours of just coding. So you're welcome, everyone, to come by and just chat, ask questions. I do the streams not necessarily to get things done. I do them to just be available to the community. So I'm not, I've had people come in and say, "I feel so bad. I'm taking away from your work." I'm like, "No, that's why I do it. If I wanted to work, I wouldn't be streaming." So, you know, while
Right.
I do it.
That's
So
very
Absolutely.
cool, though.
Anybody in chat who hasn't already followed Memory Leak, please hit up that link. Go and give him a follow. Check out those streams. Get involved in the chatter. I have been in there with him, and it's honestly, they're some of the most enlightening streams you'll sit in on. I love being in there and watching what he's doing, and just poking and prodding and giving new options and new ideas. So
you'll get used to me
yeah.
saying, "Why is it doing that?"
Yeah, no, I think I was
Yeah.
there for one of those
Or sitting back and
streams. Yeah,
rubbing the head, going, "I don't understand." It's really cool.
Exactly. All the secrets are revealed. What is
yeah.
what?
Anyway, Memory Leak, thank you so much for joining us today, and hopefully 2023 will be a good year for you and the coding side.
Yes, thank you
Chat,
guys for having me here. I very much appreciate it.
Pleasure
are
as
always welcome on the show, mate. Especially if you got new things you want to air before they go out, or you want to get some ideas, or you want to talk over some ideas. Definitely hit us up, and we'll definitely make room for you on the show for sure.
Absolutely.
But that is going to wind us up today. Thank you, chat, for joining in and putting in some comments and giving us some feedback as well during the show. That was kind of helpful on the Gilded side. Kind of overlooked that myself, but yeah, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time with another show. Probably
Yes.
a bit more of a techie-based show. I think we've got some interesting AMD news and NVIDIA news coming out of the back scenes there, so that's going to be quite
disappointing
interesting.
AMD news. Still,
Yeah, Captain Red over here is not very happy, so we'll discuss that on the next show.
yeah.
So tune in on that. If you haven't already followed the socials, please hit them up. We do have Twitter, we have Discord, we have Gilded, which we are currently using Gilded right now. So if you do want to join the show and actually come on and have a chat with us, please join those and hit us up. Let us know that you want to be on the show and share some views and thoughts, and we'll get you on there. Gentlemen, that's a wrap for the first show back. Thank you so much today. Been an absolute pleasure. And we'll be back in 2 weeks.
2 weeks minus
See
a
ya.
day because we're a day late.
Minus a day, yeah. Back on the Sunday,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. Thanks so much, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.